Let's take a look at the operations in the modeling tab. Default is set to add. So if we grab our tool and click the left mouse button, we're going to add some clay. Even change your tool shape. Remove does the opposite. Use these tools like in the beginning, roughing out your shape of your model. Next up we have smooth. Unlike add and remove, smooth has the feather function. So you can dictate how much the tool has the effect on the clay that's already there. When the feather is all the way to the left side, it has the greatest effect, and when it's all the way to the right, it has the least effect. Switch back to let's switch back to sphere. So with it all the way to the right, you can still see that this has like some squarish features to it, but a lot of the edges are smoothed out. If we go all the way to the opposite side and take a look at what we're doing over here, you see a bigger difference. It's smoothing it out so much that it's actually eroding edges. So if you wanted to, you could actually erase this in time and it'll just shrink down to nothing. Pretty powerful. Let's take a look at directional smooth. I'm undoing here with Control Z. Control Y is redo. Let's use the cube tool. So what directional smooth does is it only smooths in the X direction. And if I shrink down my tool, you'll be able to see that. There we go. So this red axis is the X direction. So this surface, all the edges that are on this perpendicular surface to the X direction are going to smooth over. While this edge here, all these edges in the Y, if I was to run this tool over these edges, these would smooth over and the Y's would stay nice and sharp. So I have strength set to high and feather set to low, which is also high because it's on the left side. Take a look. So here we have the X direction, and these edges got smoothed over. And this one here stays exactly the same, nice and sharp. Now we can change this by rotating the tool. If I rotate the tool now so it's facing in the global Y, then we're going to have the X direction on the tool affect these two sides and leave this one. So I can use these buttons up here, rotate around the Z. We'll do the same thing. Nice and smooth, nice and sharp. Just set these. Now, these next two are my favorite, grow and shrink. Once you rough out your shape with these tool shape primitives, you want to get in and just start working the clay. Okay, we're on sphere. Like directional smooth, grow and shrink also have a feather and strength. So with these settings, we're going to make a huge difference, although it's not going to look that great. So I'm going to do that. This works good about here. Get a nice smooth, and you also get nice performance too. Lower this. Not doing so much. Also, if we raise this up, it'll be smoother, but it doesn't even last. You can hardly see that, but it's there. Now, if you're looking at the axis of my tool, you'll see that it's not really changing. And for that, you can set this or rotate to gradient. Now, if you look at my axis of the tool, you can see it's not really changing. And for a sphere, it doesn't really make a difference. But if we have the cube tool, you kind of, if you're using this tool, you most likely want it to react to the surface. So we can rotate to gradient continuously. And as I work, you can see that the tool's always facing out in the perpendicular to the surface. Shrink is the opposite. Oops. It's going to eat into the surface. Smooth this out a little bit. Make it look nice. Now if I wanted to, I could eat right through this clay block. I can completely redefine the shape. These blend modes up here right above our tool settings also have an outcome on each of these operations, although it's somewhat limited. The default is replace. Most of these won't have an actual effect on certain operations, and some do. You get some crazy effects, but play around with them and you might find something interesting.